I literally just got done listening to the whole interview of Shanna Moakler on Bunny XO podcast Dumb Blonde. And I will say, I 100% appreciate her interview and her side of the story. And for those who don't know who she is, Shanna Moakler was basically one of, I guess you could say, one of the people back in like the young Hollywood era, back when like Britney was really blowing up and Blink 182 was like really blowing up. She had a career way before she was with Travis Barker. She was on TV shows, she was in a couple of movies. She hung out with like all the celebs. She was actually in a relationship with Oscar de la Hoya, and it sounds like he was like one of her first loves, and they had a child together who is now an adult. Like all their children now are actually adults. One of the things that she pointed out in her interview was that she feels like media has always kind of like given her a hard time and like creating this narrative that just wasn't true. Back when they had their reality show, the Barkers, right? There was like a scene where I think the nanny came over, and like for a long time people had this like idea that she always had this nanny, but in all honesty, and it made it seem like all she did was like sleep, and how she just really talked about how media and the whole narrative like of reality TV isn't necessarily what it portrays. Like there's a lot of smoke and mirrors when it comes to reality TV. Like what we see isn't necessarily what's actually going on in the whole story. And I'm going to say, I think this generation of people who grew up watching the Kardashians can now really say, yeah, it's a lot of fake TV, right? It's purely for entertainment. She also talked about how like this relationship that she had, she was very young, and how it was a very toxic relationship. And it was funny because Bunny XO kept asking her, Bunny kept asking her, do you feel like he was like your twin flame? Because you guys kept going back together. But overall, the relationship didn't work out. There was a lot of cheating. There was a lot of prescription drug use, and most of it was coming from Travis. Actually, it seems like all of it was coming from Travis, especially, it seemed like she tried to recover the relationship, but for whatever reason, it just never really fully recovered. And then we know that Travis went on to marry a Kourtney Kardashian and move down to Calabasas. So I will say, first of all, when we are looking at like twin flame energy, that doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to always 100% see it in the birth chart. But if she feels that this was like a twin flame type relationship, we can't take that away from her. There possibly is a huge background that we just don't know. We don't know the emotions she was going through. We don't know the overall feeling. While we can get a perspective, we don't necessarily know the hurt that she felt by the end of this relationship. But one of the things that I want to portray is the thing that really kind of was like her last straw was he pointed her out to be like this bad mom, and he was supposedly like kind of selling or showing stories to TMZ that she was like a bad mom, and he was allowing this narrative and this storyline to go. And like she said in the interview, for a woman who cares about her kids and cares about how her kids are raised and caring for her kids, that is like almost worse than the actual cheating. And trust me, he did a lot of that too. And I definitely think that it's unfortunate that the media continues to play like this narrative that she is not in the kids' lives when it sounds like she is. And it sounds like there's like this understanding between her and the kids that she kind of had to like step away. Because let's be honest, sometimes when you are in a very toxic area and you are competing against somebody who has a lot of money, a lot of area to create media, and a lot of energy of just being energy vampires. And we know that the Kardashians are. I'm sorry, but they are. They are complete energy vampires. They steal other people's style. They steal other people's energy. They're just energy vampires. That she had to break away, right? She had to break away for her own peace of mind. But the media continues to create this horrible narrative. And it looks like no matter what she does, they continue to create this narrative like her kids are speaking out against her, her kids are mad about something. But in all honesty, I think she's going to continue to show a unconditional love for her children no matter what. And we have to remember that where somebody came from the beginning doesn't necessarily mean that they have to continue to live in that energy. And sometimes some of the most toxic relationships can be with people who are the closest around you. And if that's an ex, if that's an ex-father of your children, if that's even sometimes your children's new stepmom, or if that's even having relationships with your parents, or even having to deal with your parents, there's a lot of wounds and there's a lot of trauma and there's a lot of traumatic energy that sometimes you just have to move away so you can have a healing journey. And she also talked about how there was a relationship between Kim and Travis, which still is like very much denied, but in all honesty, I believe it's true. So I'm not gonna like judge if I think Travis was her twin flame type relationship or anything like that, or if they're gonna be like destined to be together. I don't think they are. In all honesty, I think her breaking away from him was probably one of the best things she could have done for her own peace of mind and her own energy within the soul. I want to look at her birth chart and just kind of like give an overall analyzation of some of the things that I have seen. So Shanna is a Aries sun, and we don't know her time of birth. So she is a Libra moon, which is interesting because that means she was born on a full moon phase. And I think people who are born on full moon phases tend to have such high energy illumination in her personality. We could definitely see that. Like, I think if maybe she was able to continue her career at a young age, she probably would have been known for her career more than these relationships. She is also a life path 8, and she has the birth date of 28. So that energy of fame, money, and wealth is really there for her. And I imagine this upcoming year is going to be a really good year for her. And I hope she takes a lot of time to kind of work on her career. And I also hope that she kind of takes time to work on some of the passions that she left behind back when she was going through these relationships and, repairing her relationship with her children. So not only is her moon in Libra, but so is her Pluto. So that lets me know that relationships and the energy of relationships are really going to kind of hold strong in areas of transformation. Like, she's going to have to work on a lot of interpersonal energy before she has a dominant, successful, long-lasting relationship that it sounds like her parents had, that she's kind of yearning for. Another thing that stands out to me is that Mars in Aquarius. So she is very rebellious in some ways. She's also very spontaneous when it comes to the idea of what success looks like and what it is that's going to make her continue to have a passion. And she kind of thinks outside of the box, and I really like that, and I hope that she plays a little bit more off of that. I also like the fact that her Jupiter is aligned with her Aries, and it's really aligned in that area of the sun energy, which is her self. That's her self energy. So I hope that with this year of 8, she really takes that time to work on herself in areas of creation and also work on herself as of right now. And we have to remember that right now she has that North Node aligned with Aries. So it is a perfect time for her to work right here on the present, though she will be reflecting a lot on the past as that Libra is with the South, but she has to leave that dragon tail. She has to walk away from it. Personally, I think that she is not over the heartbreak with Travis completely, and it's almost like a slap in the face. Can you even imagine having one of the love of your lives still like on TV with his new woman? Like, that must be very painful. And then the fact that her children in some ways, like the new lady So personally, I think that is a lot. That is a lot. That's a lot to go through, especially as a mother, right? To see your children interact in what seems like the perfect lifestyle, but now it's not with you. And also of not having the ability to compete with, like she quote, the super dad. Like he has money, he has fame, he has all these things, and he is also able to create and control the narrative, which is huge. And I think a lot of us can't forget that before we look upon saying, like, you need to just get over him. It's a lot more than just getting over him. It's like getting over the notion of what was supposed to be this energy of a lifestyle has now been completely wiped away, right? And that she's always being judged. And we can kind of see that in the area of her Saturn with her, with Cancer. And what's interesting about this is even though we don't know her house placements, we do know that Cancer is the area of the feminine. It is the area of that mother wound. It is that area of the woman. It is the area of the home. It is the area of the emotions. And all of those emotions are coming with huge restrictions for her. All of that area of energy is coming with huge limitations for her, and it must really hurt in many ways that many of us could never ever comprehend. I really enjoy the fact that she has a Venus in Taurus that allows me to feel that she's very grounded and she is very centered on areas of creating wealth and abundance, and also creating that energy of loving more, especially around the feminine. But also, it sounds like she's not letting it rule her life, right? One of the things that she did mention was that she does have a OnlyFans, but she doesn't post like things that she feels is inappropriate. And I think with that Venus and Taurus area, it lets us know that you have to stay firm on your own correlations of how hard it is that you are going to work for certain things, if it's material items, without selling your soul. And I think she has done that quite beautifully, because let's face it, some of the people who have the things that she doesn't have that she may want have done a lot of shady shit to get it. I'm just saying. And I'm not surprised that her Chiron is in Aries, and it makes it like a little bit more personable with her wounded warrior energy, with her wounded healer energy, where this healing journey is kind of like a path that she's meant to be on in that area of learning and growing. I believe she probably has a lot of karmic ties in the energy of the woman, or the energy of the mother wounds, maybe not from this lifetime, but maybe from previous. She also has an amazing connection with the area of dreams and manifesting, as she does have a Neptune in Sagittarius. So to me, that lets me know that she can create that energy of dreamlike state and kind of grow with it and expand where it feels a little bit more correlated. So since we don't know the actual time of her birth, there is a lot of speculation, and I didn't know that Bunny read birth charts, that she might also be a Virgo moon, which I think if she was a Virgo moon, there would also be this strong correlation of her having energy towards a lot of feminine wounds, because we know that the Virgo moon tends to have that process of the goddess energy. She also has a Uranus in Virgo, and that really creates that correlation of people not seeing her as the perfect domestic woman, right? Like she's never going to be seen as the perfect domestic woman, because in all honesty she isn't. I feel like none of us are, and that's a part of her that she's able to portray, and she's also able to live with for many women it's kind of very hard to kind of live with that energy, but it's true. A lot of us will never be the perfect domesticated woman, as so many people expect us to be. And I think that she holds that quite well. Now, if you were to ask me who I would see her with as a potential soulmate, it was funny because she talked about Oscar de la Hoya was an Aquarius, which, yeah, no. And for her, no. And Travis Barker was a Scorpio. To me, that's another no. I honestly feel like she would actually do very well with either a Earth sign, maybe a Virgo, maybe even a Taurus, especially with that Taurus and Venus, or another fire sign like an Aries or even a Sagittarius. I think a Sagittarius with her might be very spontaneous. I think maybe even a Leo too, but I think she needs to give up those air signs and she needs to give up those water signs. And that's my take on the situation. And I really enjoyed listening to this podcast. I definitely hope you guys check it out too and let me know what you think about her birth chart. All right, have a great day. Bye.